Hello and welcome to Eliminate Anger Easily. Have you ever known anyone where anger has ruined their lives or damaged their health or maybe caused them to dissolve in a key relationship? Would you like to know how to prevent all that? How to eliminate unwanted anger from your life anytime you want without having to use anger management or any other complicated techniques? Hi, I'm Dr. Orman. I'm a medical doctor and a 40-year anger elimination expert. And I regularly teach people how to eliminate unwanted anger without using anger management so they can be happier, healthier, and don't end up alone. Now, I can't teach you everything about that in this short talk today, but I can give you something very, very powerful that will help you for the rest of your life. I can give you a simple framework for understanding the causes of your anger that will be new for most of you and that will give you great insight into where your anger is actually coming from. And you'll be able to use this framework that I'm going to teach you in just a few minutes for the rest of your life to benefit you. Now, I teach this framework plus a lot of other secrets about how to eliminate anger in my 10-session anger elimination training program. Obviously, I can't teach you everything in the short time we have today, but the framework is a big part of the program. It's going to be very useful to you. And in addition, towards the end of this talk, I will show you how you can easily get all the other information that I teach in my 10-session program for less than $20. Is that something that sounds interesting to you? I would hope so. And I'll tell you more about that towards the end of the talk. So my purpose today, in the short time we have, is to change the way you think about anger forever. And to let you know that it is possible to eliminate all of your unwanted anger, even if you don't think that's possible. And one of the reasons why you might not believe this or might know that it's possible is because we have lots of myths and misconceptions about anger that have sort of clouded our thinking on this particular topic. How many of you wish you could control your anger better, or wish you could just stop reacting automatically to situations that trigger you to be angry, or you wish you hadn't said certain things or done certain things that you did in the past in anger, you wish you could take them back? And how many of you have actually tried to stop yourself from getting angry once you realized that this could be causing problems for you? I'll bet that didn't go too well. And not because you lack the ability, but because most of us don't have the right understandings of where our anger is coming from in the first place. So for example, let me ask you this question. How many steps do you think there are in the anger generation process? So for example, suppose somebody says something or does something that makes you feel angry, or somebody fails to do something that they said they would do or promised they would do, and that makes you angry. Or you mess something up yourself and you get angry at yourself. How many steps do you think are involved in that process from where you get triggered to where you feel anger? Most people normally say 2. Something happens, I feel angry. 1, 2. But what if I told you there's actually 4 steps involved in the anger generation process? It's not cause effect, 1, 2. It's cause, effect, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now think about this for a minute. What if that's actually true? What if that's how anger gets generated for human beings? It's a 4-step process, but you only know about 2, like most everybody else in the world today, because that's all we can see, and we haven't been educated properly. But what if there's actually 4 steps and you're working on the assumption that there are only 2? Do you think that might explain why most people have such a hard time controlling their anger today? I think it does. Now, let me tell you my own story about anger. Now, I may not look very angry right now, and I'm not, and I haven't been in a long time, but in my 20s and 30s, I used to be a very angry guy when I was in medical school, when I was in my residency, even in the first few years of my practice. I had lots and lots of anger, and I couldn't control it no matter what I did. I was angry at family members, friends, every girlfriend I ever had back then. Our relationship ended mostly because of anger. And absolutely nothing that I tried made any difference at all. I still woke up every day. I was the same angry guy, no matter what I tried to do. And in those days, I only knew the two steps, what I could see in the anger generation process. I thought that's all there was. There were only two steps involved. Then I started after a couple of years in my medical practice, I started doing personal development work. And after a couple of years of personal development work, I figured out finally what those other two steps were in the four-step process. And I can tell you the last 40 years of my life since I figured that all out, I've had little or no anger. And if I do get angry today, I know exactly how to get rid of it very quickly. And I'm happy to say that the relationship problems that I used to have because of anger have gone away. And my wife and I are about to celebrate our 40th wedding anniversary in a couple months. So if you want to know what those other two steps are, I can show you what they are. I'll only have time today to show you one, but it's the most important one. And it's, again, the one that's at the core of my training program that I invite people into. And you can use this one step that I'm going to teach you today without having to know anything about the other step. This will be very useful to you just as it is. Now, let me to show you what I mean by these causes that we aren't aware of, let me give you a computer analogy. So suppose you're sitting at your computer, you have a laptop or a desktop, you have a keyboard and a monitor, you press the A key on your keyboard, and lo and behold, the A appears on your monitor screen. If I asked you what caused this to happen, most people would say, well, that's a silly question. I pressed the A key, or somebody pressed the A key, and that's why the A appeared. And that would be true as far as it goes. But then if I asked you another question and I said, could there be any additional causes involved in the process? If you thought about it for a moment, you might realize, well, there had to be some programs in the computer that I can't see, they're invisible, but they kind of have to be there in order for that to have happened. So there had to be an operating system in the first place for the computer to turn on and do anything. And then there had to be some kind of a program, like a word processing program, where someone wrote code that tells the computer when the A key gets pressed, you put the pixels on the screen in this configuration and not something else. So they're invisible programs running in the background. As users, we don't have to know anything about them. We don't even have to know they're there, but they are. If you build computers or you write computer software, you have to know about it. But as an end user, all we know is if we push the A key, does the A appear? But the point is there are programs running in the background we don't see, but they have to be there, or you can press the A key all you want and nothing's going to appear on your screen. Well, that's how human emotions work. Somebody pushes your anger button and you see that, you see the event, the triggering event, and you feel the anger, but there's things in the middle, there's programs that have gotten triggered in you and you can't see them. And one program is a bunch of thought processes or perceptual filters through which you view the event, and some behaviors that click in also. Now, we're not going to have time to talk about the behaviors today, but I can show you what the filters are that cause a human being to experience anger. And those filters have to be there. You have to be looking at things in those ways for anger to occur. So there are these three cognitive perceptual filters that generate the anger in addition to whatever the triggering event is. And again, these happen inside us. So let me show you right now what these are. So I call these the internal causes of anger, and these are what actually generates the anger inside our body, that cause all the hormones and things to occur that cause the feelings of anger, are all being caused by viewing situations through these three filters. And other emotions have different filters. So if we're talking about anxiety, it'll be a different set of filters. If we're talking about guilt, it'll be a different set of filters. But when we experience anger, we're looking through these three filters. So in the first place, when we get angry, we usually see whatever happened that we're angry about as somebody doing something bad or wrong or that they shouldn't have done. Notice we rarely get angry if we think somebody did something wonderful or terrific or fantastic. We don't get angry about that. We only get angry when we think somebody or something is doing something they shouldn't be doing. We also look through the filter of because of the wrongdoing, somebody was hurt or harmed or negatively impacted or potentially negatively impacted. And that goes hand in hand with the feeling of anger. And the third filter we look through is the filter of unilateral blame. And that means that we tend to have a narrow view. We tend to focus only on the perpetrator who did the bad and wrong thing, and we look at their role in the matter, and we screen out and block out everything else. There may be other factors involved, but that's not important. When we're angry, we're only focused on what that other person did. So these are the three primary filters. This is what's actually causing anger to arise in our body, not the triggering event by itself. The triggering event doesn't have the power to do that. The triggering event has to be coupled with these three filters that we perceive it through, and then we get anger. So I want you to write these three things down and keep this forever, because this will always tell you from now on where your anger comes from. And let me give you a couple examples. If you were around at 9/11 when that happened, as I was, a lot of people got angry when they saw those images on their TV screen of the planes flying into the World Trade Center, and eventually the Trade Centers coming down and thousands of people being killed or hurt or harmed. So why did we get those people got angry? Why did they get angry? Well, they viewed that event through the filters of the terrorists who flew the planes and planned this, did something very bad, very wrong that they shouldn't have done. There was obviously a lot of hurt and harm. People were killed, buildings were ruined, lives were ruined. And who was responsible or to blame? The terrorists who planned the attack in the first place. They were unilaterally responsible or to blame. When we look at it that way, we feel anger. Let me give you another example. Do you remember the televised Oscar show where Will Smith got up out of his chair and slapped the host Chris Rock for telling a joke about his wife, Jada Smith, who was sitting next to him in the audience? Why did Will Smith do that? Why did he get triggered to go up on the stage and slap Chris Rock? Well, he obviously thought Chris Rock had done something bad and wrong. He told a joke that Will Smith didn't appreciate. He thought the joke hurt or harmed his wife and maybe him also by association, and the fact that this was on national television. There was the embarrassment factor that was a hurt or a harm. And who was responsible for telling the joke? In Will's estimation, the bad and wrong joke. It was Chris Rock. So obviously he got up out of his chair, and that's who he blamed for the upset. And here's another example that'll show you, again, this is pure filters. This is not the event that's causing this. So if you're in a grocery store one day and you're with a friend, you're both standing there, you're looking down one of the aisles, and you happen to see a mother and a child, young child, and the child's misbehaving. And you see the mother haul off and slap the child. Now, suppose you get angry at witnessing that. Why would you get angry? Well, you think the mother's doing something bad and wrong. That's the filter that you're looking through. You see the child getting hurt and harmed, and you're also thinking maybe long-term hurt and harm of living with a parent like that and being subject to those kinds of physical consequences. And who's to blame for smacking the child? It was obviously the mother. Now, suppose your friend standing right next to you doesn't get angry at all when they see that. And that's entirely possible. They may have a completely different set of filters or a different set of values about how to parent. They may believe that corporal punishment is a good thing, that tough love is a good thing. Now, I'm not saying one is right and one is wrong. I'm saying you could have another person that has a different set of filters witnessing the same event, and if they didn't see that as a bad and wrong action on the part of the mother, and they didn't see it as hurt and harm, but they saw it as something good and beneficial for the kid long run, and they didn't see the mother as being to blame, they saw the kid as being to blame for not behaving properly, they would have a different emotion. It's not the event, folks. The event doesn't have the power to cause our emotions. It's the filters that are inside of us that get activated in a knee-jerk fashion that does that. So you now have this framework that you can use forever. You will always know from this point forward why you got angry, no matter what triggers you. You always get angry for the same reason. You think somebody did something bad and wrong, or they shouldn't have done. You think somebody was hurt or harmed or negatively impacted. It could be you, it could be somebody else. And you think that the person who did the wrongdoing was unilaterally responsible or to blame. And when you see things through those three filters, you get the emotion of anger. Now, in my 10-session coaching program, not only do I teach people this framework, which as you see is very easy to teach, but I also show you how to use this framework so you can make your anger quickly disappear. Now, I can't give you all the details of how to do that in this short presentation, but I do have a book coming out at the end of March. This book is called Dr. Orman's Life-Changing Anger Cure. And it details everything I teach in that 10-session program, how to use this framework, how to use it powerfully to make your anger disappear. There's lots of particular strategies, and there's a system that I give people in my 10-session coaching program, which I teach also in the book. So everything that I'm not able to cover with you today, but I'm just sort of whetting your appetite and giving you a sense of this information is available, including what the third hidden cause is, or the third cause that we don't appreciate easily. You can get all that information, and again, it'll be for less than $20. Also, I have a free gift for you today that you can download a free report. All you have to do is go to theangersolution.org. That's theangersolution.org, and you can download my free report called The Best Anger Elimination Method You Can Find. And this gives you some more information about anger. It talks more about my 10-session program. It shows you how you can get in touch with me if you want to have a conversation with me about that. And it also gets you on my mailing list. So I send out emails every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I pick a topic for the week about anger or stress, and I discuss it in 3 parts. And we do that for the week. And that's something, if you're not interested in, you can always unsubscribe. So that's most of what I wanted to cover today. And I want to thank you for your attention. And again, I want to leave you with the realization that if you're having anger in your life and you are worried that it's causing problems or difficulties in your relationships or in your career or with your health or just your own sense of self-esteem, I know it doesn't feel great. I know I didn't feel great when I couldn't control my anger, but now that I can, it feels terrific. So if you have any concerns like that about anger in your life, you don't have to keep living with it. You can get rid of it. It's not that hard to do. You now have a framework to help you understand exactly why it's happening. And I can show you what to do with that framework and use it very powerfully. So if you're interested in that, just let me know. Again, you'll have my contact information when you get on my email list. And I thank you for your attention today. And I hope you learned something and walked away with something very valuable and very useful for the rest of your life.